Hey, what is up, guys, and welcome back to the FSS Football channel. And today we are back with another Premier League preview this week for Game Week 12. Now, before we get into this week's games, let's take a look at last week's fixtures, which is Game Week 11. So here we go. So Brentford versus Brighton was the first game of the game week. Brentford running out 2-0 victors. Leicester, Crystal Palace then finished 0-0. Wolves versus Nottingham Forest, of course, finished 1-0 with Jose Sarr saving a penalty to deny Nottingham Forest what would have been an equaliser. Bournemouth and Fulham, two teams that got promoted this year, both drew 2-2 against each other. In what was a good game. And it probably was the fair result in the end. Everton lost 2-0 to Spurs. Southampton beat West Ham. Drew with West Ham, 1-0. Man United and Newcastle drew 0-0. Arsenal beat Leeds United 1-0. Aston Villa were beat by Chelsea by 2-0. And Liverpool beat Manchester City in what was the biggest game of the game week, to leave the Premier League table looking like this. So top of the league is now remains Arsenal with 27 points, with a 4-point lead over Manchester City, now having Man City now finally lost their first game of the Premier League season against Liverpool, as we just said. Tottenham are then in third with 23 points, so joint second with Manchester City points wise. However, it is that goal difference of 11 keeping Manchester City above Spurs. Chelsea then round out the top four with Manchester United in at 5th, Newcastle 6th, Brighton 7th, and it's down in 8th place where we find Liverpool. Southampton are the first team in the relegation zone with only 8 points, and Leicester City and Nottingham Forest both have 5 apiece. Coming in to game week 12. Now, without further ado, shall we get on with the predictions for this week? I think we shall. And of course, as you can see, the first game of this game week is going to be Brighton versus Nottingham Forest. So Brighton, of course, they're doing very, very well in the Premier League. They sit very high up in 5th place. In 7th place. Since Graham Potter left, I don't think they've been as good as they once were, as they were under Potter. However, they have still been pretty good in my opinion. They obviously got that 3-3 draw against Liverpool. That kind of been the highlight of them since Graham Potter left. Hello, Corey. How are we? They've been all right. Nottingham Forest, they're bottom of the league for a reason. They've signed so many players this week. This season, sorry. And it's all just gone to shit for them, really, hasn't it? Players not clicking. The team's just not firing as many predicted they would. That being said, eventually you'd imagine they would start. Still buzzing about the City game. It was a very good game. I mean, I watched it on the channel. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe that Liverpool managed to not only get something from the game, but let alone beat Manchester City and stop Erling Haaland. And I have to say, actually, Van Dijk really impressed me in that game. I think recently, Van Dijk has become far too step-offish. He's been far too happy to let the game kind of work around him. Whereas against Man City, he was proactive and he stopped. He was literally stopping great opportunities. Joe Gomez was quality as well. Got man of the match, I believe in. He was very, very good. I've always liked Joe Gomez. And I've always been like, why does he not play more? And I know he's had a really bad start to the season. But to me, he proved why I've always liked him, and I thought, yeah, I think he was great. Yeah, he needs to stick a foot in more. To be, yeah, exactly, and he did that, which is why I was so impressed with him. But yeah, Brighton Forest. I think Brighton win the game. I think Brighton are better than Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest, like I say, they've not been good enough, really. Obviously, I know Steve Cooper got his new contract. I was always kind of... I didn't quite get that, to be fair. All it was in the news was Steve Cooper's on the verge of getting sacked. If he loses this game, he gets sacked. Then all of a sudden, he gets a new contract. To me, that was kind of the board, the ownership, kind of falling for the peer pressure of the media. And look, if it could work out well for them, and they could start kicking on now. But I don't see it happening. I think Brighton win this game. I'm going 2-0. Obviously, please do get your predictions into the live chat. So I'm going Brighton 2-0. Crystal Palace versus Wolves is next up. And look, I think Crystal Palace are a good team. 2-0 Brighton, 1-0 Brighton. Look, we're on the same page sort of thing. I do think Crystal Palace have been a bit unlucky. 2-0 Palace. It's not a bad shout. They are 13th in the table, played 9 games. But I think it's important to kind of contextualise those 9 games. They've played Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool. Have they played... Who else have they played? Have they played someone else that's difficult? No, just... So, 4 out of their 5 games have come against the members, 4 of the traditional top 6. So, to me, that says Crystal Palace have been unlucky with their fixture list. 10 points from 9, or what was that, 27. It's not terrible. It's not great. Obviously, I think they need to do more. And there are some games where, look, they've drawn 4 games, lost 3. Some of those draws should be wins. But Wolves, to me, are a team in a bit of worry. I don't see somebody who I look at and think he's going to score loads of goals. And that's a worry for Wolves. I don't think Diego Costa's that guy. He's not the guy that came to Chelsea in 2015. And Abdullah, I'm with you. Wolves don't have that player that I look at and think he will score to win you that game. I think in the past, and obviously before his tragic injury, you could kind of look at Raul Jimenez as someone who would do that. But not anymore. Diego Costa, 2015, in his Chelsea days, yes, he was. Now, he's just been in Brazil, and I don't think he was great there. So, I don't think Wolves are that team. They don't have a manager right now, and, I mean, it's working for Bournemouth. Is it going to work for Wolves? I'm not 100% sure. Thoughts on Nuno? If you mean the manager Nuno, I was never a massive fan. If you mean their midfielder, Nuno Mendes, or whatever his name is that his name? Matthias Nunes. No, I think Matthias Nunes is great. I think he's really good. But with all that being said, I do think Crystal Palace win the game. You guys have gone for 2-0 Palace. And I'm actually going to go for 2-1. I'm going to go for 2-1. Yeah, I think Matthias Nunes is brilliant. But Nuno Espirito Santo, I'm not a big fan. I didn't like the appointment when Spurs made him. I thought Wolves were right to get rid of him. Yeah, if I was Wolves, look, there's talk that Wolves might be bringing him back. I wouldn't be bringing him back. Bournemouth versus Southampton. it's a bit of a weird one for me. It's a bit of a weird one because, to me, Southampton should win the game. But Bournemouth are doing something no one expected them to do. Especially since Scott Parker got sacked. They're up in 10th. 13 points from 10 games. That's pretty good for Bournemouth. And you don't expect them to be doing this well. And to me, similar to what I said about Arsenal a few days ago, with Bournemouth right now, obviously they're not going to hit the same heights. But to me, it seems a bit like the Leicester when they won the league, where you go into every game, you think the Bournemouth bubble will burst and they'll finally lose today, and then they'll start falling down the table. But then they somehow manage to get a point or manage to win, and it comes to the point where you're like, surely you've got to stop betting against them and start giving them the respect they deserve. They look really good and are undefeated under their new manager. Sure, I don't know. It's really, really tough because I like Southampton. I think Southampton are a good side. I think they've got some good players. If I check their injuries, I believe they've got some big players out though. Southampton. You got Livramento, Bella Chopchow, Roman Lavia. Yeah, Southampton got some key players out. To me, the thing that changes then was the game versus Forest. I don't know, because obviously you look at Forest, they came up through the playoffs. I see. You make a good point. That sort of turnaround is great, regardless of what team you're up against. With Southampton missing so many players, I'm actually going to give it Bournemouth. This might be the first time I've predicted a Bournemouth win. But with so many players out for Southampton, I think they could struggle. Big up, Manesi. How are we, mate? I'm going to go 2-1 Bournemouth. I think you look at them. Starting centre-back in Bella Chopchow, and I think he's great. He's out. Roman Lavia, I thought he was great when at the start of this season. He's out. Livramento, we know he's great and he's out again. Diallo is meant to be out as well. These are key players out for Southampton today, I believe. Is the game today? I back Diallo. Do you fancy coming on my new United show a couple of weeks? Thank you, Manesi, for the congrats on 500 subs. Yeah, I don't see why I can't. Obviously, you have to let me know closer to the time. But yeah, I'm more than interested in doing that for you. Coming on, Manesi, mate. Does Rav Hasenhüttl get the sack if he loses? No, I think Hasenhüttl has done a good job. I think you look at the money that's spent year in, year out by Southampton. I think he does a good job. I don't know how you can sack somebody who is constantly making the club profit, because what happens is they sign somebody, he then gets sold for big money, and then he's back to trying to bring in young players to promote and move the team forward. You look at their signings this year, or their team this year. Bella Chopchow, no one's heard of him, and he's been great. Roman Lavia, I think that's a great signing. Timo Livramento, brought him in, he was great. I really like the job Hasenhüttl was doing. And I think talk of him getting sacked is crazy, in my opinion. Still work to do. Jota out again, but Salah and Núñez back to their best. We'll get to Liverpool. By the way, do you think Bournemouth will stay up? No, I think it's hard. I think it's really hard to say Bournemouth will stay up, because eventually, surely, their luck will turn. And they'll start getting the results that squad suggests they should be getting. And as such, they'll start losing or dropping points. It's got to happen. Surely. Next up, anyway, is Brentford versus Chelsea. I do like Brentford. I like Ivan Toney. I think he's great. However, Chelsea are Chelsea. Graham Potter's coming to that Chelsea team, and I think they're playing some great stuff. I think they look really, really good. I'm a massive fan. I'm a massive fan of Graham Potter. I'm a massive fan of this Chelsea team at the moment. And I do think Chelsea win the game. I think Aubameyang looks like he's scoring and looks like he's at his best. They got Raheem Sterling who can find the net. Kai Havertz. I don't think Chelsea are missing many players at all. Well, no, Reece James. That's a big miss for them, actually, Reece James. And I think he's going to be out for the World Cup. Fofana and Thiago Silva are out, as is Kante. That's actually a lot of big players. However, I do think Graham Potter is adaptable. And his teams can play a 4-3-3, can play a 3-4-2-1, whatever it is. I think Chelsea win the game. I'm going 3-0. Liverpool versus West Ham. Now, before we get into this game, if you are new to the channel and you are, or if you're enjoying the stream, please hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. Share the stream on your socials. That would be greatly appreciated and helps to grow the community. Liverpool versus West Ham. Now, we saw, for me, a Liverpool side that was great in the first half. Second half, Man City really started to take control of the game. But it was a game that Liverpool won. And I think they did very, very well. And you can't begrudge them that win. To me, Liverpool still have work to do. They've still got places to go. I don't think they are at their best yet. But they're getting there. I think Darwin Núñez is a weird one at the moment. What do you do with him? Because he comes on, I think he looks a threat. He makes the right runs. He's got the right movement. He's not putting the ball in the back of the net though. And do you trust him? Do you stick him up top and you try and work around him, or do you kind of say, mate, you're going to come on as a sub and you've got to earn that space in number 9. I think it's hard to do that when you've spent so much money on him and you've backed him, because when he comes on, like I say, he looks dangerous with the runs he's making, but that final end product isn't there, and he looks a bit comical at times, really. That being said, West Ham, I think they are hit and miss. I like some of their signings. I like their squad. However, do they beat Liverpool at Anfield? No, they don't. No, they don't. I'm going 3-1 Liverpool. Newcastle versus Everton is next up. I'm going to try and keep this one quite quick. Newcastle and Everton. I think we see a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think Everton, look, they was on a great unbeaten run. I think it was 6 games. Obviously, they're falling off now, but I think they are a good side. And with Newcastle, they have got injury issues. I think Everton will back themselves to get something from this game, especially now Everton are starting to get first team players back in through the door. Newcastle, they're missing players, and I don't think they are as good as maybe the 6th place would suggest. I think if Brighton and Liverpool play their games in hand, they drop down to 9th. I think that's probably more where Newcastle are at the moment. And Everton, I think they're a little bit better than 14th. So I do think they'll draw this game. Like I said, I'm going 1-0. Man United versus Tottenham. It's a tough game. It's a tough game. Obviously, I'm a Man United fan. We will be doing a preview, so we'll go into a little bit more depth for this game. I might even be doing that later tonight. Or if not, I'll be doing it tomorrow morning. it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a really, really good game. Obviously, Antonio Conte has already talked up his team and how Tottenham didn't lose to Man United, but Tottenham lost to Cristiano Ronaldo last season. Now, I don't think Ronaldo will play. I don't think Ronaldo's playing great at the moment. But I think we probably will see Marcus Rashford start up top. But I do fancy United to get something. I do. I really, really do. I think United are capable of getting something from these sort of games. And Abdullah, I'm fairly with you. I think the game could go either way. But I do back United to get their 3 points, take us up to 19, and then we're not far off Tottenham. Then we're not far off Tottenham with a game in hand. I am going to go for a United 1-0. Back your boys is what I'm saying here. Back your boys. 1-0 Man United. Is this the last game? No, second to last game. The penultimate game is Fulham versus Aston Villa. Now, there was a rumour or a leak came out that Aston Villa had sacked Steven Gerrard. Since one of the heads of the club have come out and said that it's false. Gerrard has not been sacked. While he might not have been sacked yet, I think it's massively important. Steven Gerrard not only gets a result today, or in this game, but also starts implementing a style of football. Because he came in and they were playing well and they were getting results. Results fell away and he stripped it back to basics. And results haven't necessarily been coming still. And I don't think he has much time left. I really, really don't. Results aren't there. They sit very low in the table. What is it? 16th. You look at that squad. That squad's not a team that should be 16th in the Premier League. They need to be doing better. They need to start picking up results. And I actually think they will, to be honest. Look, I think this game could literally go any way. If Villa won it, like I'm predicting, I wouldn't be surprised. If Fulham won it, I wouldn't be surprised. And as such, if a draw happens, I would not be surprised. Abdullah's gone 2-0 Fulham. Corey's gone 1-0. I've gone 2-1 Aston Villa. Next, and the final game of the game week, obviously Arsenal, Man City. That game has been cancelled and postponed. I believe that's because Arsenal have their Europa League game. For whatever reason, that takes priority. But we have Leicester versus Leeds. Looking at the Premier League table, Leeds 15th, Leicester 19th. That's not good enough for Leicester. They've got to pick it up. They've got to improve. And at home to Leeds, I think it's a good opportunity. I think Leeds are a little bit rattled at the moment. They played well against Arsenal, but they weren't great. And I think every week you hear kind of Jesse Marsh coming out and saying, the opposition was wasting time. The fans didn't come here to watch the team waste time. I think they're a little bit rattled. And I think Leicester, they've got a good squad. They've got a good group of players. And eventually results have to turn. I think Brendan Rodgers is a good manager. I don't think he's in the upper echelon, but I think he is a good manager. I think Leicester can and will get something from this game. Is that a win? Or is that a draw? I'm going 2-1. I'm going 2-1 Leicester. 2-1 Leicester. That's my prediction. Theoretically, if Arsenal was to play Man City right now at the Emirates, what would happen? Oh, it would be such a good game. That's what I'm saying. It would be such a good game. I think Arsenal are missing some first team players. I think Zinchenko being back would make a difference. But would that be the turning point of a game? I'm not sure. I don't know. I think Arsenal are really good. Really, really good. But That sort of a challenge they haven't had yet. They've played Spurs, which they beat and beat quite comfortably. However, it's Man City. They're a different challenge. I'm gonna do a cop out and say a draw. Right, my phone's on 1%, so we'll quickly run through the games once again. So, Brighton versus Nottingham Forest. I'm going 2-0 Brighton. Crystal Palace versus Wolves. I'm going 2-1 Palace. I'm also going 2-1 Bournemouth against Southampton. Chelsea, I have then beaten Brentford by 3-0. Liverpool also are scoring 3 against West Ham. West Ham are also getting 1 though. Newcastle, Everton, 1-0. 1-0 Manchester United against Tottenham. Fulham are losing to Aston Villa by 2-1. And Leicester are beating Leeds by 2-1. Now, that is going to be it from me today. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button below and subscribe if you are new and you haven't already. That would be greatly appreciated. Now, we are going to be live at some point for the Manchester United preview. I don't know exactly when, but at some point we will be. So please do make sure you hit that notification bell so you are notified when we go live for that. Anyway, that is going to be it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one in a bit. Peace.